Hello, everyone. It is exactly 7 p.m. We are having our town hall meeting here in Ossining. I'm going to change the wording to village hall meeting. Uh, as it is confusing that we have a town and a village. This is the village of Ossining open community engagement. We are trying something new tonight for us. In the past, we have not had a lot of town hall meetings, but we decided this year under this administration to have a few more of them, especially on the fifth Wednesdays. And this one's a little different. We try to pick a topic so that people come and we can prepare material and all that. We're going with the open mic system, as I like to call it, and this from a person who cannot hold a note. But any topic that you'd like to discuss or schedule from 7 to 8:30. We're going to try to keep that timeline. We're going to bring people on when they need to speak. Maddie Sahaj, Assistant Village Manager, will be helping us with this and moderating some of it. We'll go through some of the sort of the rules of the game. I welcome Village Manager Diatori. I welcome Maddie Sahaj. I welcome Stuart Kahan. They're just here actually to help me out. And of course, last but never the least, is Deputy Mayor Manuel Quesada, who many of you know, and always welcome. So it will be the two of us. Let me just go through a couple of sort of housekeeping, if you will. So all 5 members of the board cannot be here tonight because to have more than 2 of us, in other words, to have at least 3 trustees allows us to vote. And we don't want to do that under the rules of the meetings that we hold. And so 2 of us raised our hand. We will probably rotate the responsibility in further future town halls. So there will be 2 trustees, but that should not be mistaken for the lack of interest of the other trustees. We had to struggle to choose the 2 because everybody really does actually want to speak to the public. So I thank all of the rest of the members of our board in addition, but tonight it's the deputy and the deputy mayor. If you could bring the Prezi on, Maddie. This may be the shortest Prezi presentation I will ever be conducting. It simply wants to set some rules so that if people watch this is all being recorded. So if people want to see it on video, they'll have an understanding. A deputy mayor and I are here to hear from the public. Compliments are always welcome, but usually we find that most people come here with issues that they want to have addressed, questions, clarifications, and opinions. We are going to sort of carry a format when you raise your hand. There's a little hand on here. Can you move on to the next screen? I guess I can too. So we're looking, as I said, for everybody or as many people as possible to come and speak. In order to be respectful of time, we find that no more than 4 minutes. Frankly, we've made them sometimes shorter when we've had really, really large crowds because we'd like to actually hear from every single person, not to have back and forth debates or just hit on one topic. Anything that I can't answer or Manuel Quesada can't answer, we will take down the notes. We will get back to you with information if you give us your contact information. So we promise to get to as many of you as possible. Just raise your hand, your virtual hand. I do want to say that in the time that we decided to have this town hall, between then and having it, we no longer in public meetings where there are at least 3 trustees, we can't have them by Zoom any longer. They have to be live under the specific rules. Another reason we have 2 people here tonight and not more than 3. And in the future, I expect the town halls to be, I do not like to use the words "we'll go back to normal" because I don't know what normal is after a pandemic, but they will be publicly held most likely. If not, if people find that Zoom is better, it'll be again with 2 trustees and members of the staff. So if we can move, I think the last one just says the basics, which is here is how to reach us so that you have a minute to write this down or to take a picture of the screen. You want to reach me, it's mayor@Village of Ossining. The entire board in one click is bot villageofossining.org. if you'd like to reach a village manager, we are in a municipality where the village manager is the executive, the COO, who runs it day to day. So there are questions for her and her staff, Kay Diatori. And if you, I guess, just want to know what's going on, sign up for my weekly mayor's message. And there is also the web blast that gives you all the different events, etc. So I think we're ready to get started. 3-slide Prezi presentation. Do we have any hands up?
I see our first hand is Daria. Daria, I am going to bring you over. If you want to unmute and turn on your camera, please give us your name and your relationship to Ossining, and then I will begin the timer for your 4 minutes.
Hello, Daria. Oh,
Hi.
I was waiting for you to unmute. Hello.
Okay, I'll undo my video too. This is Daria Gregg. I live at 51 Old Albany Post Road, and I followed closely the police reform that was going on earlier this year, and there were a lot of committees and a lot of people invested in that. And I don't know that you can tell me right now, this minute, everything that you've accomplished, but I think in your weekly message, you should be keeping us, the public, informed on what's happening there and the progression of all the things that were set forth in your plan.
Thank you. So thanks for that. And we have done, there's about 29 line items, and I do think that I've presented it at different points in time, which is what I do. We have about 18 initiatives. The mayor's letter is really for me about everything from I visited with someone to major national news that might affect Ossining. And so I try not to do the same story and use that as a weekly update about a topic of interest. The topic of interest may be of interest to many people, but not everyone. And some people just want to hear things that just hit different points. Having said that, what I am taking away from that question, and maybe it speaks to what you're asking for, that we need to keep the public more updated about progress. And we might not do it in the mayor's note, but I will take a note for myself that there might be a different way that I need to ask the staff and the other trustees that we do keep updated. We've done about 6 out of 6 programs. For example, we're 6 of the line items. For example, to make public some of the policies that are in place, put on the website. That's been done. We are beginning to look at the legislation to turn the Civilian Police Review Board to be a civilian review board. That is in the plan, and that's being done. I think, and Stuart Kahan I think is very involved with the work being done. And so can Manny add the other things that we've also done. I will say that in the past week and a half, I've met with various members of the original committee. There were 15 people plus some assigned people from staff, etc. I have met individually, I want to say with about half of them, and individually, one-on-one, two and two with Omar Lopez, who was the person who sat the longest on that committee, because one of the challenges is sort of the next steps with the committee itself. And I am in the process of writing a note to all the past committee members and some others to create a, once I get it passed by and recommended with the board with my colleagues, is to recommend sort of the next steps, which includes some sort of committee to move forward. But I only named 2 things that we've done so far, and I know there's 6 items. I don't know if Stuart or Manny or Karen can recall. I just don't have it in front of me. The other items, they had asked for a staff member on going forward on working on it. We're doing that. What other couple? I know there were 6 items that when the chief, the police department also is the one that works on this, and the chief had presented in front of the board and will continue to do so on the quarterly basis in a public meeting in front of the board, and it will be announced in both the mayor's note and the agendas on the website. His presentation, and he did update us on the police reform probably about a month ago. But what are the couple of things that I leave off that are obvious?
Mayor, there will be some changes to the chapter in the code dealing with the Civilian Police Complaint Review Board in terms of membership, in terms of training, And those will probably be presented to the board. My expectation is that either late July or early August for consideration. The police, you did mention that the chief, that the policies and procedures are online. There have been some changes to those policies and procedures as requested by the board, by the planning committee, and that has been done. There were also issues with regard to training. Some of that is actually, to use the phrase, above all of our pay grades, because a lot of that would involve from the county end or from various municipalities. So there's different groups, if you want to call it different sections of types of proposals that have been made. Many dealt with the Civilian Police Complaint Review Board. Those will almost all be dealt with by statutory changes within the village. Prior to this, the village was one of, I think, one of only two in the area that had Civilian Police Complaint Review Boards. But we will be making some of the changes that have been requested. Those will be taking place fairly, hopefully soon. And the other things are, they're all working their ways through. Some of which, as I said before, cannot essentially originate from the village. So that's one of the things where we have to work on more collectively.
Okay,
And
so-
I do want to,
But I'm happy with that, but just so the public can know, like myself, without having to go to every single, there should be a connection somewhere to find out what you're doing now and what you plan to do and when you'll be completed. There should be some sort of connection to go see that, I think. It doesn't have to be, if you don't want to put it on your weekly thing, it should be on the website maybe.
yeah. Oh, no, I understood. You want the communication to be regular, so you have a place to go look, even if it's not something I push out. But I did think that we put that list with like where we are in the process on a spreadsheet. So we might just want to make that more public. And I thought that we did, but we can make that happen.
Okay.
That's not a biggie. I will say, and it's not, I mean, it's not a slam dunk, but I did see George Latimer last week and had a conversation of how we can move, and Catherine Borges separately about a few days ago, and discussed this with them. The police, the reform plan that the county level did does include the academy and major changes to how the curriculum will be established. That's something I'm very I think is one of the more important long-term issues that needs to be dealt with. And they promise me the county is actually in their reform, in their plan has that listed. I frankly couldn't find direct tactics, but it was mentioned a number of times. And I told them that I'd get back to them if we need help. And the public there, Catherine Borges, also your representative, and George Latimer works for everybody in the county as the county executive. So that's another place. It's beyond, as Stuart Kahn said, a little beyond us. But I do think that there were enough municipalities that said, listen, like where you produce the police for the county of Westchester, you should be looking at the curriculum and update it appropriately to the 21st century. And I think they're looking at that, and that's something that I did work on. I don't know if anybody else has anything. So thank you for joining us, by the way, and thank you for your interest and your comments.
Thank you.
Daria, was there anything else? You have 3 minutes remaining.
No, that's all.
Okay. All right. I'm going to move you back over. Thank you.
I don't see hands, but I can't see them on my screen. So.
Okay. I see Gunnel. Hold on just 1 second. Having trouble moving Daria. Okay. There we go. All right, Gunnel, give me just 1 second. When I move you over, please give your name and state your relationship to Ossining, and I will begin the timer at your 4 minutes. Okay, should be all set.
Great picture. You're still on mute, but I love the picture.
My vacation picture.
Where is that?
Costa Rica.
When was that? When did you go there?
It's 10 years old.
Oh,
I didn't even select the picture. Zoom picked that picture from somewhere, and I don't even know how to get rid of it.
It's a great shot and it's on my bucket list, and it was on my bucket list. Still is on my bucket list. It's been there for more than 10 years. So um, looking forward to it. We're not using this for your time, not to worry. No pressure about time. I just like to
Okay.
hear.
So,
Welcome.
thank you. So my first question is, will I be allowed to complete a separate question?
You know, there aren't that many people on. We did the time thing because sometimes we get so many people. It takes us, it would really more than two and a half hours. But you're on. You could do more than one,
So
as
I
far
have
as I'm
a
concerned.
question on the same issue
Please,
area I was talking about.
please.
I was here for your legislative meeting on June 2nd, and I followed the discussion with great interest. And I was happy to see that you have a nice spreadsheet. However, I wasn't able to read the spreadsheet at
Oh.
all. On my 13-inch computer, it was impossible to read. the
Okay.
So I like the idea that I think both you and Omar Lopez had of putting a PDF on the website.
Hmm.
And I have looked for it, but I haven't seen it. So it probably hasn't happened yet, but it's also possible that I just haven't found it.
Okay. So my takeaway from that is we'll get that done. Yeah, I'm able to see it on my iPhone and we'll look into it. I mean, we have a spreadsheet. We're using it for presentations. I expect to and if you heard me say with the chief, I expect that to be the document, a singular document. No document is perfect, but instead of reading chapters of information, the
Right.
documents. So I appreciate the feedback that it's good. And now we got to make it more workable. PDFs don't work for everybody. Depends on what you're using and what handheld you're using. So I'm sure this amazing staff is going to figure it out. It's the technology will just be dealt with. So I actually think it's there somewhere. I think we just got to get it to work better. But thank you for at least telling me that it works for you. It's easy to read, understand, and then we can start filling in the boxes. And it
Yeah,
will become a
in other words,
more engaging
I
document.
haven't been able to read it yet, but I think it's a wonderful idea to have this as a snapshot of this is where an easily understandable, simplistic overview of what the status is. I think that is a very, very good idea.
Great. Thank you.
So, and then also related to police reform, I wanted to ask now, a month later, do you have, well, I guess you just were telling Daria that you still are working on the implementation committee. And I guess I'm thinking maybe that the implementation committee was a bit of a misnomer because the Board of Trustees is really the implementation committee of a reform, right? And the Committee of Citizens will provide some monitoring of the progress from the public side. But do you have a sense as to when the committee will be in place?
So let me just answer. There were three things that you actually addressed. So let me hit one at a time. So the implementation committee was verbiage used by the committee. So I want to make it clear because it's clear.
Mm-hmm.
They did a lot of work, a yeoman's job, the heavy lifting, and the former mayor, really did what she could to make sure that different groups were represented, and it went back and forth, and there were subcommittees, all good, all that. But that verbiage is not an accurate wording, to your point. And the board actually isn't that either. So the implementers to do with the police reform is actually in all the communities, actually the police department working with civilian groups. So that's really who's going to implement it. There will be a committee. We think we're going to call it, as we do with other committees, an advisory committee. I want to tell you lots more. And it's not that I don't want to be transparent. I haven't sent out the email because we just had the meeting with some of the committee members. In deciding how we choose people and who they are. And if I discuss this all now, people who might watch it say, really? You didn't tell me that. So I need to go through the process of talking. There were a lot of people. So I got to go through the process of doing that. And I give you my work. It's actually being done, and we are going to have one. And my sense is going to be a large committee, but it's a committee that works hand in glove with the police department, who then report to the Board of Trustees, who in their role approve things and help. I need a lawyer to be with us, Board of Trustees. We need your support. Could be one update in order to do X, Y, and Z. They would come in front of the board. The board would then say, okay, here it is. We'll pay for it. So decisioning is done by the Board of Trustees, and we do have the oversight. The implementation is hand in glove with civilians and police working together to a common end, which was described in the plan submitted. Not more than the plan, not different. The plan that was submitted. When we get through that, because that's what we submitted. When we get through that, hopefully there will be other things that come up. Not hopefully, I'm 110% sure there will be, as they always are. But that's sort of what we have in mind.
Okay.
I do have more than that. I just don't want to talk about it now because I haven't spoken to the people themselves. So I think that was one of the things you mentioned. The second piece, yes, I think I covered your comments and questions.
Okay, thank
Thanks. If you think of others about other topic, feel free to bring them forth as well.
you. Yeah, so I have one completely different topic. So
Okay, so what I would like to do, if Sheila Speller wants to talk, I'm going to bring her on, and then we're going to go back to you so that we keep in track that everybody gets a moment, but we'll probably be able to come back to you if that's okay.
thank you.
Okay.
Mayor, and before we jump
Oh,
into
sorry,
Sheila,
Manny.
no problem. Thank you for all the feedback on this one. So maybe we can work this internally, and Maddie or Jamie can help out in regards to the police reform page we do have on our website, because I'm there right now. And I think we can definitely put more clear information, maybe like, I don't want to say an image, but something in there to track, like some sort of schedule and see where we are. I think that part, I know we have it. It's just, I don't see that as a part of one of our documents right now.
Is it on?
I'm sorry?
What page is it on?
Is in
the
our
website.
village website. If you go to our main page in our village website, you're gonna see in the quick links portion on the left side, and it actually says police reform and revamp collaboration.
Yeah.
And it's, if you click in there, all the documents and all the videos are there. So maybe we should add some additional information in there, Maddie, and in regards to that, so we can, because we have all that stuff. It's just a matter of like putting that stuff in there so people can actually sort of, follow that as well. We have all that, again, we have all the meetings, the special meetings that we had, the video stuff, the video clips, the draft that was presented. But yeah, some of the information maybe.
Yeah, we
just need to update a lot of, some of the stuff. And I know Stuart, the mayor, and Omar and the police chief have been working on this. And as you know, and I don't need to repeat that, but it's a lot of back stage information that we need to do, and there's a lot of collaboration between the state and the county that is, it may not happen right away, but it's I'm hopeful that will happen eventually. Definitely, I'm glad to hear that, Mayor, that you had a conversation with the county executive and our county legislator, and they're kind of looking into something that is essential for us as well, a part of our plan and part of a lot of municipalities' plan, which is the training, so which is important. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, I'm going to correct myself. Ms. Speller did not have her hand up. That was my error. I thought I saw it, but the bottom of my screen has something. So sorry about that. So if you want to ask another question,
Okay.
fine with me.
So this question is about electrification of municipal vehicle fleets. Transportation is the largest producer of greenhouse gases and other air pollution in Westchester County. And I believe we agree on the goal of making Ossining as green and sustainable as possible, as quickly as possible. As an aside, I understand that the police departments of Yonkers and Hastings have acquired their first all-electric vehicles. So my question is, are there currently any formalized plans to transition Ossining to electric vehicles, meaning electric police cars, sanitation trucks, other type of vehicles used in running the government? If formal plans exist, what are the next couple of action steps that I would be able to look out for? And if a formal plan doesn't yet exist, are you working toward adopting a plan? And when could we expect to hear about that?
So, almost my favorite subject. My children are my favorite subject. Don't get me started on that, but almost my favorite. The answer is yes, underline, bold, mark, everything you want. We have been looking at being one of the greenest villages in the state of New York. I'd like to make it the United States of America. I had said that actually at a meeting once. We have already acquired, we are involved in lots and lots of green efforts. I've actually, almost every one of my weekly mayor's notes talks about something, whether it's Sustainable Westchester, the work we're doing. Actually tonight, there is a program that Maddie, Karen, and I are supposed to be on. It's just that we established this meeting so far in advance that talks about smart energy that is happening online, specifically for Ossining. I myself am totally electric cars, totally solar paneled, etc., as an individual. But we have acquired 2 electric vehicles as part of our fleet. We are looking that when the contracts and when our vehicles age out, not before, that's not a good use of money for the taxpayers, but as things age out, we are looking at vehicles that are thoroughly electric. And by the way, not that I should ever speak for the town supervisor does a fabulous job, but they too are in that process as things age out. So when we do our budgets, we look at vehicles that age out. It is tricky to get fire engines to be electric. So the very heavy duty ships, large buses and transportation vehicles in this country they're still working on it. But as far as the traffic and looking at the police, school buses is done by the school district, not by us, but all of our fleet, I could safely say, is being looked at as they age out to switch to electric. I think, and we put in we're looking at EV spots, because right now it's great when you own a house, not so great if you live in an apartment building. We're looking at almost every facility that we own, including ones that we're in the process of looking at. We're looking at solar panels, development that's going on. We're asking developers to set it up for solar paneling. And Westchester, and Sustainable Westchester has been great at coming up with great ways of giving financial incentives, both to municipalities and to individuals. Do we have a written down plan? I don't know, Karen. Do we have an actual plan? The plan is every vehicle that comes due is going to go electric if it is feasible for us to do so.
Okay. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Okay, Gunnel, I'm going to move you back. And while I do that, I do not see any other hands raised. So if you do have a question or a comment for the mayor and deputy mayor, please raise your hand.
Okay, I don't know what to do. We've never had this happen. Usually we have so many people, we have to have so many rules in place. And I usually do a presentation that I probably talk too much. And, here we didn't get as many people as we had expected, which says to me that maybe people are super busy on a summer day, and that's a good thing. We like that after a 1.5-year pandemic. I don't want to keep people for the sake of any of us talking. I'm going to wait like another minute or so. And, we'll have to regroup and wonder if like having just an open conversation with the community is the right way to go. Or we should go with topics which seem to really attract stakeholders and interest groups. We're just playing around and trying to get feedback and seeing how things work. So I'll wait a couple more minutes. Always a pleasure. I don't know if anybody else has anything, just in case people are running late. But I think we're probably
Mayor, if I
good.
could, I would just make another comment about the
Please.
electric vehicles, so long as
Oh,
we're doing a little tap
Thank
dancing.
you, Maddie.
So something that for years, and I know the town struggled with this a little bit as well, is that when it's time to replace like the pickup trucks that do snow plowing, it's always been, you know, we want to look at an electric option, but by virtue of the fact that it has a plow attached to it, that tends not to work well on electric. But earlier this year, Ford came out with an all-electric F-150, which Sustainable Westchester actually brought and allowed us to try out. I believe President Biden also was, you know, test driving one of those not too terribly long ago. So the technology is moving quickly. So some of the vehicles that, you know, previously had not been, you know, available in all electric are coming around. So we're hopeful that, you know, we're going to be able to sort of expand the pool even further than we have previously. So I just did want to share that information.
Yep. Thank you. And they're coming out with electric, not for us, but boats. And I read that Tesla has a beta test on pickup trucks and utility vehicles, not just for private use as a luxury item, because in Europe, they're not just used as luxury cars, they're actually used as taxi cabs in Northern Europe. So they're working. So there's like a race to the who's got the better. So we're all going to benefit from that. But yeah, thank you, Maddie. Maddie's the one that introduced me to the Nissan Leaf about 3 years ago when we had a fair here for Green Ossining, when we had a fair at the waterfront, and I actually got to talk to the salesperson. Now I'm a big Nissan Leaf fan. They're great cars. And this is not a commercial for Nissan. It's just my own personal experience. Anybody else? Okay.
I like Daria's idea that maybe we should all head over to the Energy Smart Homes.
So basically, Sustainable Westchester, which I actually promoted in my own mayor's newsletter, you think took away our crowd. I don't actually think that's the case. But listen, I think this is great. More importantly, Manny gets to do this one, and the next topic we have probably will take 3 hours, and he won't have to attend that one. So he's excited.
No, not at all. I mean, look,
I know.
the more opportunities that we get to talk to the people via Zoom, you know, the best for me, obviously, and more convenience. But maybe what we can do, you know, in the meantime, if anything, where we can just give them a little bit of an update to actually what has changed from last week to now, if the people may have not heard that, as the mayor mentioned, that all our meetings going forward for next week, literally, for different committees and including ours, is going to be a live meeting. So we are going back. We're going to go backwards. I mean, we are going back to the village hall in a way to hold all our work sessions, and I'm not sure if we're going to be doing that in the court, but we are going to be holding all our public meetings literally live now. We are trying to figure it out. I'm not sure if hopefully I'm not speaking out of turn, and Karen probably correct me, Karen, Maddie, or Stuart, but we are trying to do, I believe, try to have a live feed. We're going to try to figure out going forward how do we do a live feed as well, in regards to Zoom, for people in the community to actually see, you know, have the same feeling as we have in right now. Is that correct? More or less?
It's
Karen?
sort of. Can I
kind of-
just, if I could just add to that, not all the committees. So we have about
No,
13
all of them.
committees. Some of the land use I've sent, Karen and I both sent notes to different committees. Three committees have to be live under certain rules in government. The others can continue Zoom. Manny sort of, when he said we're going backwards, I don't know if he meant it or not, but many municipal leaders, mayors, supervisors, and a whole lot of other people in the state of New York are quite upset that we are going back to the 1990s. By the way, it wasn't always videotaped, all these meetings. That's a more recent event. It's expensive. It is not comfortable for most people. It costs taxpayers much more money to have somebody stand there, videotape, and worse, many people who don't drive at night during the winter, during storms, during everything, can't really come to meetings, and Zoom has been really great for people who are not as mobile or don't have the luxury of cars and the ability to drive at night, which is when all our meetings are held. So many of us were quite taken aback that the state Senate never got this out of committee and did not vote to keep the ability to use whether it's Zoom or another platform as a forum for public engagement. It's easier to record. It is available to almost everybody. And it's also available to people also from out of your community who may have an interest, business owners, etc., that want to participate. And you could jump from a meeting for half an hour and the topic that you want and go to another meeting. So we saw no downside almost to this. And it's less expensive for everyone. So when Manny said backwards, I think, and I know we're being recorded, which is why I'm going through this whole process, we were really disappointed that our state legislators did not pass this in time, leaving us to go back to what I call the 1990s, which is backwards. It isn't back to normal, it's backwards. And it's like back to an old technology that now staff has to sit around and figure out how to make it as good as this. So while live meetings are wonderful in government, at least for the work sessions, not the legislative, but the work sessions, it would have been better for us to be able to continue doing this. So, but many of our committees, including the police reform and a whole bunch of others who have actually requested that we keep these accounts, I think will continue. And the rest of them will be live. And it's a good reminder that we are going to go live. So I think we're ready to wrap up unless somebody else has, or I don't see hands. I did the tap dance. I'm sure Sustainable Westshore is a very exciting program. They're not the only ones that are running Zoom. There are others that have meetings. That's just the way life is in a busy place like our community, where there are many meetings that are going on. Is there anything else? Anybody else? Karen?
Well, it may be a good time to note, we did get some updates on the board meetings that we can be doing going forward. So we will have capacity to have the board meetings done with a live audience as well as a Zoom audience.
Good.
And that would be for all our meetings. The only challenge is that is not possible to do in the courthouse. So we would need to do that. We would need to do all of our meetings in the boardroom at 16 Croton Avenue going forward to accommodate that.
So both, this is news to me, which is why everybody's
this
hearing.
was we just discovered this. We were dealing with the finer points of that today.
Okay.
So it's brand new and I haven't drafted the email to the board yet. But since we're here and you're talking about it, I just want to make it clear that we do have that capacity now, and we're set up. We will not be able to live stream. The meetings will be live on Zoom. We will not be able to live broadcast them for the first 2 or 3 meetings because we need some additional equipment that's currently on order, but they will all be live streamed on Zoom. So.
Okay, great. Thank you. Unless I see hands, thank you, Karen. That's great. Anybody else? I don't have my gavel because I feel silly using a gavel on top of a laptop. But I think this concludes our meeting of June 30th, 2021. It's, I guess, 7:39 p.m. Is that right? And thank you all. I appreciate everybody being here. Have a great night.
Good night.